Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts, Tom Vassell and Sam Healy.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vassell.
Well, I'm Sam Healy.
And today we're taking a look at Dead Men Tell No Tales. This is one of the underutilized themes of board games, pirates. Well, you don't think so?
Lately?
Well, lately there's been several pirate games that have come out, but still not many comparatively. And there's very few that feel like a pirate game.
Okay, that's true.
And there's zero that are cooperative that I can think of. Well, this is the first one. This is a cooperative game in which you guys are being yelled at by your captain to get on a ship that is on fire, is full of skeletons that are alive, and you need to get treasure. I would have not gone.
No.
This captain must be really tough.
Do it yourself, you landlubber.
Let's find out if the game's any good. Here we go. Now, to win this game, players are going to be going into a burning ship. This is all the ship that's out, but as the game goes by, you're going to have different tiles that are placed out here that will show fire as the ship burns by and different rooms that you can go into. And there's a couple things that you need to know what are going on. Again, you're trying to find treasure, and so whenever you find a new room, you're going to pull a tile out of a bag, and that room might be a trapdoor or it might be a bad guy who you need to fight who turns into booze, which is, I guess, helpful if you want to rest. But you're eventually going to find guards. So here, for example, is a guard, and on the back of him is treasure. So you're going to have to beat him in a fight to get treasure. Now you notice there's dice on the board, and when new tiles show up at the beginning of your turn, you'll be adding 2 tiles for the first turn, and then 1 tile every turn after that. These numbers here show the level of fire in that room. There's 2 different colors because just different fire will spread at the end of different turns. So sometimes the yellow dice do, sometimes red dice do. That's how hot that fire is. And as you, on your turn, you're going to have actions that you can take. Moving to a room that's hotter than the room you're in currently is going to give you exhaustion. And in fact, each player is going to start the game with one of these dials. This dial here is to keep track of your exhaustion. And you're fine. If you lose all your exhaustion, you die, which, as I've been told, is a terrible thing. But as your exhaustion goes down, you're not going to be able to go in rooms with a fire of 5 or higher, or rooms that have a 4 fire or higher. And as these rooms go up in heat, if they get to a 6, they're going to explode, which not only heats the rooms next to them, but also moves this explosion track here at the bottom. And if this explosion track gets all the way across, players lose. Let's pause here for a moment and take a look at the different features here of your board. Each player is going to start with a pirate, and there's lots of different pirates. Each of these pirates has a special ability. And you also will start with a piece of equipment, and there's different types of equipment. And then while your pirate is who you are over the course of the game, the leftover equipment cards, players will be able to spend an action to switch one of those cards out with the one that they have now. But either way, it gives you kind of a very specialized person because your special ability is 2 things combined. So every game you play, you'll be different. You'll also notice here, you'll be able to spend actions to increase your fighting ability. So when you fight someone, you'll be able to add the roll of a die plus this, which you'll need to beat the big enemies. And over the game, you might find cutlasses, which means every time you fight someone and add this bonus, you go back down to 0. But if there's a cutlass here, then I'll go back down to +1. If I get multiple cutlasses, my fighting skill will reset differently. So on your turn, you're going to first put out tiles, if there's any tiles left. And if you can't put out a tile, you lose. So you have to be careful for that. But then you get to take pirate actions. You have 5 actions you can take. So you can move from one room to another room. If you're in a room, you can decrease the fire level of that room to make that go down. That can be an action. You can run, which can make you move 2 spots, but then there's a chance you're going to add exhaustion to the amount that you normally take. You can get rid of deckhands. You can do these in rooms that you're in or rooms that you're not. Deckhands, as the game goes by, are going to multiply and spread out all over the place. They only take an action to get rid of, but there's lots of them, and if you don't watch them, if there's more than 3 in a room, first of all, you can't even go in that room. You got to get rid of them before you go in. But if you need to put out more deck hands and there are no more, then you lose. You can also pick up tokens, so if, hey, there's a bottle of booze, I can grab it. You can rest, which will heal you too of your exhaustion. You can increase your battle strength, moving your token on the bottom here, like I mentioned earlier, or you can swap out your item card. So you have lots of different actions, and players have these coins which they can use to show the number of actions that they're going to take on your turn. When you're finished, if there's any bad guys on the board, they're going to move around, but you're also going to be drawing a card. Now this card will tell you what kind of dice are going to increase. This one's a really bad one because this increases all red and yellow dice. But this one will increase all yellow dice with 4s. This one increases all yellow dice with 2s. This one increases all red dice with 4s, and so on and so forth. So they will also sometimes show what happens. Maybe some of the guys on the board move. Maybe all trapdoors will spawn more of these deck hands. So that one of these is drawn after a player's turn. So players are going around, they're trying to find these big guards, they're going to fight these guards, they're going to take the treasure from these guards. Then once they have the treasure, you will then basically all you can do is move slowly until you get out of the ship and drop the treasure off and then come back in and get more. If you get all the treasure out, you win. If there's too many explosions over the course of the game and cause this explosion track to come all the way over, you lose. If you need to put too many deck hands out, you're overwhelmed and you lose. If you can't place a room tile because you foolishly put them out on the board, you lose. If the treasures have been destroyed from rooms exploding and things like that, you lose. If someone dies after all the treasure has been looted, once all the treasure is looted, everyone needs to get out. But if someone dies at that point, you lose. Whenever you do die, you draw a new character card. But if someone dies and there's no more character cards left to draw, you lose. So there's, really only one way to win, but many ways to lose this game. So looking at this game, when you played it, what were your first thoughts? I wonder if they're similar to mine.
My first thoughts were, this is going to have a Flashpoint Fire Rescue vibe to it. That was my first initial impression because of all the different fires breaking out all over the ship, and you're trying to go in to get something and come back out. On a very basic level, that's what I was feeling like. But at the same time, I liked the theme of this better, so I was a little bit more acceptive of it, I guess.
Yeah, my first thoughts when I went over the rules were, this is Flashpoint Fire Rescue mixed with Pandemic.
Yeah, pretty much.
And after I played it, then I thought, this is Flashpoint Fire Rescue mixed with Pandemic. I mean, there's differences, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
But, so what do you think about the components? Comes with custom dice, well, not custom dice, but little dice and meeples and stuff.
The dice were cool. They're not the best quality, but because I don't like the harder,
lack of rounded corners,
the harder edges, the rounded corners.
But I think you need them because they stay flat on the table and they're easier to see. Maybe
yes,
they look like fire.
Yeah, they do. No, and that's one of the cool things about it.
Still not sure what the difference between yellow and red fire is.
One burns more. I really like the meeples too. The meeples were really cool. Piratey little meeples with little peg legs on one. That was really cool. The little skeleton thingies. Those were also pretty cool. It came with a lot of really cool components. The exhaustion thing was also nice. So
art's good too.
Yeah. I mean, I think they really did a very good job with the graphic design here.
One of the things I think is cool is when you look at these tiles on the ship, you know the ship is on fire.
Yes.
They leave no doubt in your mind.
Nope.
I might argue that sometimes I wasn't sure if something was a door or not.
Yeah.
But other than that, again, the whole game has a very piratey look. The pirates on the artwork, just good. Mm-hmm. Rulebook, not quite so much. The rulebook is fine. It teaches you the game, but it teaches you different things in different sections. Yeah. And in my first game, we made mistakes, and in the second, there was mistakes, and then it's like, oh, okay, this is how this is supposed to work.
We got it, right.
And even I'm not even sure.
Right, yeah, exactly.
There's a couple things I didn't even mention in the rules overview. There's barrels that explode and blow through one door and things like that. But let's talk about difficulty of the game. Is it hard?
Yes.
It's
very hard, especially when things start blowing up. And the fire starts to spread and explosions, and oh my goodness. If you get to that point, you're pretty much done.
what you need to realize is you can't, this is not a game where you're like, all right, let's come in here. You put out that fire. I'll handle this. We'll do this. No, you got to be like,
Exactly. Yes.
I mean, it's just that constant. I mean, if you take your time at all, you'll lose.
Yeah.
Just because the fires will keep going. When you go through that deck of cards, you'll cycle through the deck and explosions. When there's 3 explosion symbols, and when 3 of them show up, another explosion happens. You can't just sit there all day and carefully put out all the fires.
Nope.
So the game is hard. I would put it in the top tier of hard cooperative games I've played.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's...
Because I have not won yet, and I have not got to a point where I was like, oh, we would have won if we had just done this. I was like...
I do recall the game where we came very close to winning, but we did not win.
I think it got to that point.
I mean, it was to the point where one explosion happened, and we were like, oh, that's not very good. And then another one happened, and everything just kind of snowballed after that. But we were very close to being done and winning the game. So I would say it's probably, from what I remember of Ghost Stories, this is probably on par, maybe a little bit easier than Ghost Stories, because I never won Ghost Stories. Never even came close.
That's because you left the one game right before we won.
Okay, well, I guess so.
Maybe that's why we won. All right. Anyhow, what do you think of the game overall?
Overall, this is a very positive, a very strong design, I think. It takes a lot of mechanics that are popular right now. Cooperative games are just through the roof as far as popularity is concerned. That, and then I think probably social deduction is right up there too. But this game, again, I'm not a huge fan of difficult cooperative games. I'd rather have a little bit more of an easier co-op game. But this is probably the top. This is as far as I'll go, as far as complexity and difficulty is concerned. So I really enjoyed it. I'm going to give it 1.5 cutlasses up, because it is a very good game. But, I'd probably rather play a different co-op.
I like the theming of it a lot. I like the fact that it's piratey and it has that pirate thing in it, and I like the dice mechanism. Combat I like, although it can really be random and swingy, and the game is chaos, and I like the fact that there's maybe 6 different things you have to do, so you have to keep track of all of them.
Right.
So that brings variety to the game, and your special ability might, oh, you're the guy who takes out deckhands. Oh, you're the guy who's good at fighting the pirates.
Right.
Oh, you're the guy who's good at putting out fires.
Yes.
That's useful, and I like having that in the game itself. Mm-hmm. I think it's good. Now, like I said, I consider this a mashup of Pandemic and Flashpoint Fire Rescue. I don't know if I like it better than either of those games. I know you probably like it better than Flashpoint, at least.
Yes, I do.
I don't know. I'm not sold on it yet, because I'm not sure the game isn't playing me sometimes, where it's like, well, this is just what's happening.
You talking about Flashpoint?
No, this one, where you're running through and the fire is burning and things, and you have to go handle things. But I do like the options. I think if you're going to play with new people, I don't know that I necessarily bring this one out, because they might be overwhelmed by not just the difficulty, but just by the plethora of things they can do.
Right.
And it's trying to stick your fingers in a whole bunch of holes and plug them all up at one time. And that's difficult.
Right, yeah.
But I liked it. I'll give it 1 cutlass that's still being held in a pirate's arm up.
Not a skeleton?
Well, just a pirate.
Okay, just a pirate.
He's my friend. I saved your arm, buddy. And it's cool. It's in a pretty good package. Like I said, really attractive. The theme fits strongly.
Yep.
I think people will like it. Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Go check it out, y'all.
Yo ho ho and a barrel of rum.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.